All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er update as we update you on all the news going around on the Niners here in the middle of February. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. This video also brought to you by our friends at Aura, and we'll have a word from Aura in just a minute. But let's talk a little bit about all the news in Ninerland. First, we'll start with a story that isn't directly related to the 49ers, but Daniel Jeremiah, who's getting ready for the NFL draft, says, put me down for Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Harris. And Harris is a wide receiver that I really like as well. Probably going to be a second-round pick. If the Niners are serious about moving on from Deebo Samuel and aren't able to sign a free agent, I think my first choice for wide receiver would be round 2 for Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. I think he'll be there when they pick in the 40s, and I think he might be the best receiver in this draft class when everything's said and done. I think he might be the best rookie receiver as well. I think he's a little bit more polished than Tetaroa McMillan or Luther Burden. So look for Trey Harris going in round 2, and who knows, maybe to your 49ers. Now, the Niners are set to hire Boston College secondary coach Ray Brown. That was announced today as their cornerback coach. Ray Brown joined Boston College as their secondary coach on Bill O'Brien's first staff in 2024. He arrived at BC after a 2-year stint as the cornerback coach at Washington State. Overall, he's got 14 years of college coaching experience. He coached all Pac-12 honorable mention selection Chow Smith-Wade at Wazoo, who earned the league's third best defensive grade among cornerbacks, according to PFF, back in 2022. Prior to going to Washington State, Brown served as the cornerback coach at Utah State in 2021. He was also at Troy State in Alabama in 2019 and 2020, and he helped the Utah State Aggies to an 11-3 record and a victory over Oregon State in the LA Bowl at the end of the 2021 season. So that capped a big turnaround. And at Troy, Brown coached Terrence Dunlap to second-team All-Sun Belt honors. He was one of their best players there. In 2019, the corner Will Sunderland was first-team All-Sun Belt under Brown. So Ray Brown, interesting name. He spent 3 years at Abilene Christian as a defensive back coach, 2016, 2017, 2018. He's had 2 Pac-12 stops early in his career as a grad assistant at both Arizona State in 2014 and 2015, preceded by 1 year as a grad assistant at Wazoo, where he coached Deion Buchanan into a All-American, and of course Buchanan eventually was drafted 27th overall by the Arizona Cardinals. Brown's attended East Central University in Oklahoma. He graduated in 2009. With a degree, and his degree was in business marketing. He's also a 4-year starter at cornerback. He stayed at Eastern Carolina as a assistant coach for 2 seasons, and then moved on to Oklahoma Baptist as a special teams coordinator. So him and his wife have 3 kids, and he's got an extensive coaching career. As I said, he graduated from East Central University in 2009. He got his master's degree in sports administration as well in 2011, and comes out of Boston College, where he was their secondary coach this last year, and that was a pretty good football team. So that is the Niners cornerback coach. Last year, I believe Brandon Staley coached the Niners corners, so it'll be interesting to see. If this guy who comes from more of a college background, he has no experience in the pros, this is his first start in the pros, we'll see how he does. Usually the college coaches are a little bit more teachers, but not always. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of coach this guy turns out to be. Now, a couple other 49er notes of interest. Robert Saleh, according to reports, Niners' new defensive coordinator, is adamant that the Niners re-sign Dre Greenlaw, which makes me happy because I'm adamant that the Niners re-sign Dre Greenlaw. Greenlaw, of course, missed almost the entire 2024 season. He suffered a torn Achilles in the Super Bowl a year earlier and had to miss almost all of the year. He was able to play 2 games. He started 2 games in December. He couldn't finish either game. He played just one half in the first game and then left with an injury and then recorded, but had 8 tackles in that first game and looked just like the Dre Greenlaw of old. And then in the second game, he only played 4 snaps. Before he had to leave the game. He did have 1 tackle in those 4 snaps, but didn't play the rest of the game. So, Matt Barrows from The Athletic is on the record as saying that he thinks the Niners are moving off of Greenlaw and that Greenlaw wants to go somewhere else and run his own shop. Matt Mayoko from NBC Sports Bay Area went on the Papa and Silver show on KMBR on Friday and said that, that Jennifer Lee Chan had talked to Nick Bosa and that Bosa had told Jennifer Lee Chan that Saleh is adamant, and that's the word that he used, adamant, that he wants to re-sign Dre Greenlaw. So, this is in line with how everybody else feels, right? All the players love Dre. All the coaches love Dre. All the fans love Dre. The media loves Dre. Everybody wants Dre back. The question is, at what price? And, what's he going to get? What's his market going to look like? There's a lot of unknowns about Dre Greenlaw. Everybody knows they want him, but nobody knows. There's really 3 key questions. What's his market going to look like when free agency opens on March the 12th? If he's going to get a 1-year, $6 million deal, bring him back. The Niners made a mistake, I thought, when they said goodbye to Jimmy Ward, who also left on a similar deal, like 1 year, $6 million to jump to the Texans. If he's going to get a $30 million offer like DJ Jones, you just say, hey, Dre, congratulations to you, your family. It's a great opportunity. You can't pass it up, and take the money and go. But if he's going to get a 1-year, $6 million deal, if he's going to get a 2-year, $14 million deal, something along those lines, then match it and sign this guy. Why? Because he is absolutely integral to your culture. I think this guy hits. This is the guy that has the respect in the room. This is the tone setter. This is the guy that says, I'm playing to this level and you're going to play not as hard as me. Really? So you need guys like that. I think this draft, it's very imperative that the Niners add some young linebackers. And who do you want teaching those young linebackers? Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. So, yeah. And if Robert Saleh is adamant about it, good. I'm adamant about it. You don't need everybody. There's a lot of replaceable guys. The old saying, it's like, what? Not everybody's like you and me. Sometimes there's guys that are just a guy, just a jag, just a guy, as the old coach used to say. He ain't like you and me, Larry. He's a guy. He's just a guy. He's a jag. I can't tell you the number of times I heard that. But you know what? That's the truth. The truth is that, of a 53-man roster, there's 10, 15 guys that are totally replaceable. And then you got guys who are really good. Then you got guys who are great. And then you have what I would call tone setters. And tone setters are the most valuable guys on your roster. They set the tone. They set the tone for your competitiveness. They set the tone for how hard you work. They set the tone for playing hurt, playing with an injury. They are your tone setters. In the Harbaugh era, the tone setters were Alex Boone on the offensive side, Dante Whitner on the defensive side. Those were the tone setters. On this team, I think Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams on the offensive side are absolutely tone setters. And it's Dre Greenlaw. It's Dre Greenlaw who is the tone setter on the defensive side. And before him, it was Jimmy Ward. And now Ward's gone, and you've got Dre Greenlaw. He is your tone setter. So unless he gets just a massive monster offer in free agency, you better sign him. You better sign him. You need him now because you need him to pass on that incredible tone that he sets and level that he plays at to the young linebackers that you invariably are going to add this offseason via the draft. So absolutely, you got to sign him. You have to sign him. Now, if his market is 3 years, $24 million, you say, Trey, sorry, we can't do that. But if it's 2 years, $12 million, 2 years, $14 million, 1 year, $6 or $7 million, 1 year, $8 million, get it done and bring this guy back because he's that important to what you're doing. A couple other notes on the Niners, and this was from an NFL rumors column, so take it for what it's worth. I don't know how reliable this column is, but they're reporting today that Chargers defensive end Joey Bosa could be a salary cap casualty. And if the Chargers wind up cutting the older Bosa, that the Chargers would save $25.3 million in cap space. This would be interesting. Why? Because the Niners would almost expect it to be a strong match in free agency. Obviously, the Niners have Nick, Joey's brother. They also have Gus Bradley, who's a former coach of Joey Bosa, and you have Robert Saleh, who I'm sure would love to have a front four, get it done with his front four, not have to blitz a whole lot. How do you do that? Well, maybe you add Joey Bosa opposite Nick Bosa. I'd want to make sure he was healthy because he's had some injuries, but man, Joey Bosa for free without trading any draft picks sounds a whole lot better to me than Myles Garrett for 5 picks, or Max Crosby for a bounty of picks, 5 or 6, including multiple number ones. Are those guys better? Sure. But Joey Bosa, if he's a cap casualty, he will only cost you cash. And in that case, that's the guy. Go after Joey Bosa opposite Nick and cross your fingers they both stay healthy. That's the route I would go. Absolutely. And the other last note is that Josh Williams, who was interviewed for the Jaguars GM job, has been named a finalist for the Jaguar GM job. So they're going to continue. Their GM search is being led by Ethan Waugh, who used to be a 49er executive and was part of the Niners front office when Josh Williams was brought in by Trent Baalke originally. And the Jaguars are going to continue with the next round of interviews, will be in-person interviews beginning the morning of February 19th. And their 5 candidates are Ian Cunningham, James Gladstone, John Eric Sullivan. Ethan Waugh himself is up for the job, as which is interesting. And then Josh Williams is up for it as well. So, if it goes to Ethan Waugh, he's the guy that has basically replaced Trent Baalke as the guy who's got the ear of Shad Khan. And Ethan Waugh was supposedly leading this search. And wouldn't that be interesting if the search that he led them to him? But Josh Williams is a hell of a candidate, and he's a finalist for that job. I don't know a lot about these other candidates, so I won't say that Josh is the best candidate for the job, but I think Josh is a great candidate. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a young guy, but he's a smart guy. Now, we went to the same high school. He went to Columbia for college, and he's been with the Niners for a number of years, and they've promoted him from within, and I hope he gets the job. But it is interesting that Ethan Waugh has been Shad Khan's kind of right-hand man in the midst of leading this GM search, and he himself is up for the job. So that is pretty interesting.